Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and today I'm here with, well, let's say I'm putting this in the product review playlist, but I'm already going to tell you it's got a positive review because I'd say this is almost an endorsement video. Okay, let's just premise a bit of why I've come to this. I make cards, like out of my art and my collage. I make cards which I send out as thank yous and greetings and stuff like that. But I don't class myself as a card maker. I'm a guy who gets blank cards, buy them in bulk, I put a front on them, and then I usually put something on the inside and send them. So that's pretty much as basic as you're going to get from me. You're not going to ever see waterfalls and trifolds and apertures and words that I don't even get. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to see them from me. So knowing that's the sort of card I create, in my previous video, which was a couple of days ago now, I made these as part of my colour combo, which is a monthly event I run. And my intent is that I want to decorate these slightly further to become the fronts for abstract Christmas cards. Now, that's all well and good, but there's also the thing of what do I put on the inside of a card, and that's where my product comes in. Now, this is a product by a company called Katy Sue Designs. Now, a little bit of history, just so you understand my relationship with Katy Sue Designs. For many years, I was one of their product designers. When I was within the cake and baking industry, I designed a range of silicone molds that were food safe for the cake decorating industry, and they were named the Creative Cake System. I was working with Katy Sue all the way up to and through the pandemic. I was doing television demonstration work on shopping channels for them. I was promoting a friend of mine, Nicholas Lodge, big chef and designer in America. I was almost an ambassador, or at least demonstrator on television, all of his products, which were basically for making clay flowers out of air-dried clay that were realistic, and also those same molds could be used for making sugar flowers. Towards the end of COVID, my contract came up for renewal with Katy Sue Designs, and I sat down with the CEO, Sue, who's a dear friend of mine, absolutely dear friend of mine, and I said, Sue, I don't think I want to re-sign a contract, and she totally understood it. We never fell out anything like that, and the reasoning behind my decision was COVID wiped my cake business out, which is why I had to then bring to the fore all my artistic and creative skills for arts and crafts and all of that, which is the person you now see before you today. Well, hi, these are my hands. I'm up here. And at that point, I could no longer be the ambassador for the cake world because I felt I was no longer part of that cake world. I am part of that cake world. I still have people reaching out to me to ask me for advice. I've been invited to judge a couple of times at cake shows, even though I'm no longer in the cake world, because of the level of expertise I achieved and who I am. And I am a Hall of Fame inductee. I've written 5 books on cake decorating. So at one time, I was a reasonably big something in the cake decorating world, but I felt that as that part of my life had been wiped away almost completely by COVID, I wanted to move forward into the mixed media and art world. And Sue and I sat down over a nice cup of coffee, and I told her the reason. She said, Ceri, and she would never advise me wrong, and she said, Ceri, I think you're making the right decision. She said, we will continue with the products we already have from you. However, Katy Sue Design was going in one direction and my life was going in another. And even though we talked it through, we couldn't find a middle ground where my new skill sets would benefit Katy Sue and their wonderful designs in silicone molds and cardstock, and they've just purchased Cosmic Shimmer, I believe, a couple of months ago. Quilling, that it's a big company. Seriously, you're probably familiar with Katy Sue Design if you're in the arts and crafts world. So anyway, that brings me back to this. So I reached out to Sue and said, Sue, I know you've got Peelables for Christmas. Do you mind if I have some of them? Because I want to use them in my Christmas cards this year. And Sue came back and went, yep, I've got some in the post here. So this is the Peelable kit. And I just wanted you to know that she sent me this for free, even though I was going to buy it. Sue went, nope, just have it. It's fine. So know that, yes, this was sent to me for free. However, also know that even if I bought it, I would have endorsed this anyway. So another thing about these Peelables, just because you're thinking, Ceri, I don't do Christmas, don't celebrate Christmas, that's totally fine. I want you to know that on their website, and they do distribute from America and they distribute from Britain and Europe. I've got a feeling they even may have a presence on Amazon, if my brain remembers correctly. It's been several years since I worked with their team. So wherever you are in the world, you can actually get them, and they do ship internationally, and they do distribute from other countries. So I've chosen the Christmas one, but the categories you can get for their Peelables are birthday, Easter, Christmas, Father's Day, First Communion, for him, get well soon, kids' birthdays, Mother's Day, sympathy, teachers and graduation, thank you, wedding and anniversary. Now, within each of those categories, some of those categories have maybe 2 of these sets within them. Some of those categories can have numerous sets within them. Now, I'm going to be working in the project I'm going to do. I'm going to make the cards. They're not going to be made in this video. I will put a link in the video to the video that I made the card fronts in. And I'm going to put a link in a video that will follow this video, probably in a day's time, where I complete my own Christmas cards. But I was going to incorporate this in that video, and I thought, no, this deserves a showcase of its own. And I just wanted to do this, and then I can spend more time on the actual creativity. Now, I prefer to use 5x7 card blanks. This one's craft. I have them white, cream and craft. I picked them up at craft fairs. My local store for me, well, the only store I've got left really, is Hobbycraft. They sell them in bundles. They're just the generic 5x7 card blanks. You could get your own card and score it down the middle, and you would need this to be 10 and that to be 7. You'd score on the 7 on the 5 line, and then you fold it. You could make your own, and then of course you've got to match it with envelopes. These do come with matching envelopes, which is why I buy them. I think they come in a bundle of 25, to be honest. There is, however, one problem with these that I've come across time and time again, and it's this. I don't know if you can just see it. The front is just marginally bigger than the back. So I don't know whether I don't even know how to show you, other than you can just see that out. So whenever I use these, because it can throw off all of my measurements, I come in with my guillotine and I put the spine on my 5-inch line. I try not to worry about butting it up against the top. It's more important that this is on this line here. And then I come down and see if any of it will chop off. It didn't that time, so I'm actually going to come in just fractionally, because I want the edges of this to be the same. And as you can see, it was a fraction, but that fraction can show me the difference between having a nice clean edge to my card and not. Now, let's go on to the insert itself. An insert for me is a piece of paper that is folded and will fit into my card and not be visible on the outside. So you can see this one's slightly visible. That's fine, because it wasn't made for this card anyway. So just know that this is what I'm referring to as an insert. Now, I make my inserts out of presentation paper, not copier paper. This, sorry, it's a tattered old thing because I've just run out of it. It's ultra smooth white presentation paper for colour documents. I use it because it's slightly heavier than actually copier paper, so it stands up better and it's whiter. So that's what I'm using here. Although what you could do is you could use coloured paper of any sort that you wish to make the inserts. You could even do it with parchment paper or whatever you normally use for your cards. So I just want to tell you how I make one of these. So I take, for me, it's an A4 piece of paper, okay? Each country will be slightly different depending on your country of birth. So I come to the middle, and from here, I push out and out. I then get my bone folder, and I flatten this down. Now, I know that this is bigger than my actual card. So I'm just going, this is one of the actual ones I'm going to be using. So as you can see, it's bigger than my 5x7. Now I know definitely I need to be doing 7 in height. So I tend to bring this in. Now, can you see that? If that is my 7 mark, I usually come in just probably 1/16 down. I don't mind if there's a really thin layer around the edge of my card, edge of my insert to show the edge of the card. When it comes to this, if I put this in here, I know that, let's get a ruler for you guys, even though this is a 5-inch card, I want my insert to be fractionally shorter than that because I'm taking into account the thickness of the card itself. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to go to 5 and I'm going to go 1/16 underneath it. Now, make sure you chop the right side so it opens as a book. Ask me how I know that, people. So now when I put this in here, it should fit perfectly inside. There you go, so it's inside. Always double check. Some cards will vary. These are machine cut, yes, but they're cut by machines, not humans. So then I've got my insert here. Now, I'm not going to show you how to stick an insert in. I will do that in the next video. So you're looking for the word Peelables or Christmas verses. Once you've found one, you'll find all of the other options. So if you need to screenshot, that's the screenshot you need to take so you have the information. Now, each of these, let's turn them over, Griffiths. Each of these is on a clear plastic backing label, which I can't, you know me for labels. Come on, I know you can do it. You know me, I have a history of being bad with labels. Right. What I want you to see is this looks ever so slightly frosted. When you put it on, it's going to become transparent. Also, you'll notice that it doesn't have a shiny surface. It's almost like a satin surface, which I really like. So it isn't obviously a label when it's put on. I mean, you need to be careful if you put one on and then you put inks over the top, it's going to show up because it's a different texture. So I'm not going to do all of them. I just want you to see the variety you've got. I believe there's 2 pages of each, and I want to say there's 48. There's 48 verses in total. Now, I'm going to put one onto this backing. Let's use the one I actually peeled up, just so we can see. Now, I would say the one thing I would not worry about, because you'll tie yourself in knots, is I usually eyeball the center where it's going. I do have a trick that I'm going to share with you to keep it level with either the top or the bottom, whichever works best for you. However, just know I eyeball the center. I'm not going to go into measuring and trying to frame it all up. I want to say these are about 3 3/4 inch wide. You're not going to be able to see it, but I can probably see the reflection. Yeah, I'd say they're about 3 3/4 inches square. Also, don't forget, you could cut them down. Also, another thing you could do is, say you want to put a sentiment on the front, say you wanted Merry Christmas, you could cut that piece out of there and just stick the Merry Christmas down. You could cut the New Year out and just put New Year on the front. The one thing I would say is, as with most labels, these labels are meant to be used on a card or a paper surface because that's where you'll get the best adherence. I think that's a word, or I might have just made one up. They will stick best to that. I do know that you could put these onto journal cards, journal tags, anything like that. I would say, however, if you're going to put them onto a painted surface, I don't know how well they would stick. Now, I have a fold line, so I can see that. I can see that here. If you can't see that on when you're doing it, you've got two choices. You can either fold your insert completely back on itself, which is what I like to do. The trouble is sometimes with this, the paper will bow and it might cause you a problem, but I have an answer for that. Now, I have a quilting ruler here. Doesn't have to be a quilting ruler, people. Could just be a regular ruler. It could be a narrower ruler. It could be a metal ruler. It could even be a Tim Holtz ruler. Any of these will work, okay? I'm going to pop all those back in my container over there. I'm only using this one because this is 2 inches deep and I like that width. So I'm going to use a bit of, let's use a bit of washi tape. I just want to hold this in place. Normally I wouldn't do this, but because I'm going to be messing around a little bit, trying to get my eyesight in focus through the camera, that's holding this down and this down. If you find the top is feeling a bit raised for you, put something up there and that will hold it all down flat for you. Right, now I've already lifted this one off, so I'm sure I can get this one off again. And I can. Now, because it's a peeled label, it's going to have a bit of static to it. There is a trick to these. Don't just put it down. Try and bend it in the middle, and hopefully I don't get my head in this. And what I do is I bring it down so it's resting against my ruler, and then I put it down. Now, if you have something like this happening, you should be able to work out the crease. They will release a little bit, which is okay with me. There you go. And as I come down, I can smooth it out. As I said, I expected there to be a slight problem because I'm looking through a camera. Now, I take a little bit of kitchen towel for me, or kitchen paper, and I give it almost a burnish down. And that is how I put the sentiment on there. As I said, a couple of things to reiterate. There are lots of different categories, so it doesn't have to be Christmas. There's also a label which can be cut. So you could come in and take words out of here if you want. Granted, you'd be sacrificing the whole label, but there are 48 labels here. That's a lot. I can take phrases and pieces out of this, like I could easily come in, take, say, the word Christmas out of here. If I cut this down a bit, I could put Christmas down there. So just a bit of fun, guys, but a lovely product, and I really do pop over, have a look. That's what I was saying. When you're over on the website, do have a look around the website. There's some fabulous stuff there. Put my name in. You might even see my cake products if you're a bit sneaky. Have a look and see what I used to do. So thank you very much to Katy Sue Designs. It was fabulous to use these. I will link the video that I made these in the description box. I will also link in the video, which will probably come out tomorrow, well, the day after you see this one, which will be how I finish these cards, and then I will show you how to glue the insert in. So have a wonderful day, guys. I'm Ceri the Crafter. That's Ceri the Crafter. Until next time, goodbye now.